Welcome to Get Your Bell Rung Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am KG. With me tonight is one of his last nights for a while because he is getting quite busy, which is a good thing. Of course, I am talking about George Strong, the best damn referee in the Indies. And of course, my sidekick, my Robin to my Batman, my Mindy to my Mark.
Oh God!
Of course, I'm talking about the wrestling enthusiast Mark.
I couldn't know about the second one, but okay.
He was getting happy for a minute. I was like, oh man.
So, first thing, what do you guys think about what I think is our bat ass intro? It's more wrestling than the last intro I had. I really liked. A lot of people gave me compliments on it, but they also said it reminded more of boxing than professional wrestling. So I changed it up. I decided my beautiful face needs to be more of the intro, as well as a lot of things that has to do with professional wrestling. But what do you guys think?
I love it, man. I apologize for not being here after you came back from your trip, but I love the intro. I love that you got to be a part of such a big show last couple of weeks and was able to incorporate it into the show. I'm proud of you, man. And I'm happy for this podcast.
Well, I tell you what, one thing I really like about this intro is I incorporated the Cauliflower Alley Club logo in there, which is something that's very important to me in this podcast because I am a huge supporter of Cauliflower Alley Club. I'm hoping to do more for them. And as well as I think that if you're a wrestling fan or a professional wrestler, especially if you're a professional wrestler, you should join if you already don't belong, because it's literally investing into your future self. Because as you know, professional wrestling does not have medical insurance. So if you get injured, or even if you go through a bad time in life, you're kind of fucked. Then the Cauliflower Club steps in and it helps people. Mark, I apologize. What were you about to say?
I saw that you had a picture with Josh Matthews. Did you meet him out in Nevada?
No. So AEW, last time they came to Minneapolis, I actually got a media pass. And through that media pass, I was able to work the show, talk to a few people. Josh Matthews was one of those, although when I spoke to him, he was kind of very hush-hush about why he was there. At the time, he had just been let go of TNA. So I didn't know if he was there just to visit friends. He was there talking about working there or not. And to be honest with you, I haven't even heard anything about Josh Matthews going to AEW to work. So I'm not sure what's up with him, but he was there nonetheless, and he was kind of tight-lipped about why he was there.
Oh, that's fine. No, it just shocked me. I didn't realize you ran into him anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, I haven't heard hiding or hair of Josh Matthews in a while, and I knew he got released from TNA.
Yep. I tell you what, man, Josh Matthews is like most of the guys that I met in the business. You see these larger than life characters on TV, so you really don't know what to expect when you meet these guys. And I'm telling you, 95% of people who I met who works within the industry, not just indie people, but people who has made a name for themselves, they are literally down to earth, just regular old human beings that it just so happens that they have a better talent than I do, that they're getting paid more than me, more than Mark, more than George, but they're still very humbled, regular people. That's another great reason why fans should join the Cauliflower Alley Club, because you get to meet a lot of these professional wrestlers at the reunions, and it makes you realize that, these larger than life guys on TV, man, they're just like me and you. They want to be treated like you and I. They don't expect it to be treated any differently, and it really makes you respect them. At least it made me respect them even more, just because of how humble they really are.
Yeah,
this is true.
So something else I want to talk about, something that's kind of making the rounds online and the social media, is ESPN reportedly was not happy with Stephanie McMahon on her podcast for talking about VPNs. Now, I went back and we was talking about this before we went live. I went back and watched. I was kind of expecting the way they're talking. Stephanie McMahon just during the middle of a conversation, someone decided to shit on ESPN. That is not what happened. Like most podcasts, including myself, we get sponsors, and although I'm just now getting into that world, I'm not heavy into it just yet. Podcasts like Stephanie McMahon's podcast, like Cody Rhodes and all the other big time professional wrestlers who have podcasts, they do indeed have sponsors. And it was apparent to me that this is exactly what it was. There was a VPN company who decided they were going to be a sponsor on Stephanie McMahon's podcast. So it was very much like a commercial. So I don't know why ESPN has their panties in a bunch about this. George, you are in the industry, my man. What is your take on this?
So, like you stated within the article, it was a sponsor. So you get sponsors for stuff that may not pertain to that show, or in this case, sometimes you get sponsors of stuff that could hinder subscriptions to internet stuff, such as streaming, and that's where the problem was. I don't know. I was kind of a little bit in the weeds with some group chats I'm in, and there's some people saying, "Oh yeah, well that service doesn't allow you to do what they expect," because that's a lot of things buzzing on the internet. Everybody's like, "Oh, I'm just going to buy a VPN and watch all this stuff instead of paying all that money." That may not be the case for that particular company, or it might be just that they were like, "We got the money to get advertising. Let's do it on a wrestling podcast and see what happens." So it's no different from like seeing advertising for AEW and Monday Night Raw and the opposite competition, basically.
Right, and I was just about to bring that up. Now, does Netflix have a way where they block VPNs? I don't know. I know that Bob Cook was one of them that mentioned that you cannot use a VPN on Netflix. I don't know enough about the whole VPN thing. Mark, what is your stance on this?
Well, to be honest, I would think that any sponsor would have to go through legal through TKO or whatnot. You would think. So if legal through TKO said okay, then ESPN should shut the hell up.
Right.
That's just my understanding of it. And if you're not running it through legal, then you're just a bloody idiot.
Yeah, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I can kind of understand why ESPN has their panties in a bunch about this. After all, they paid over $1 billion to TKO to have the rights to all of the PLEs on ESPN. But still, at the same time, as George Strong just said, look, we see sponsors for AEW on USA. We see sponsors for WWE on fucking HBO, for the love of God. When AEW, it has a live event on there. So it is what it is. I don't see the big deal at all. Now, I tell you, I am still not sure if this is going to be my last PLE or not with WWE because of the fact that they're going to ESPN after this PLE, and it's going to be $30 a month or whatever it is. Because look, WWE pretty much owns the market when it comes to all of these what do you call them? Like Netflix. Yeah, it's all the streaming rights. Which, look, I know a lot of fans are pissed off about this, but from a business standpoint, it's brilliant because of the fact that WWE pretty much has a show on all of your major streaming services, which means that AEW can't go on these streaming services. So from a business standpoint, it's pretty damn smart. Mark, start with you. Do you think this is a matter of TKO just being greedy? Or do you think this is a matter of, you know what? Business is business. You can't take it personal. It just so happens that we were smarter than Tony Khan when it came to getting all these rights.
Well, it gets down to this. TKO, to my knowledge, is still owes a lot of money or still has a lot of money owed. All right. So they're just trying to secure that as fast as possible. All right. There's still plenty of streaming services out there that AEW could hook up with. There's still Paramount. There's still I don't know who else, but there's still a few others out there that they could hook up with if need be. HBO Max is not a bad format, so I don't think they should cry too hard, But if you're comparing HBO to Disney, which ESP is owned by Disney, HBO is a chump compared to Disney.
Right. And speaking of TKO, so as most of us are aware, Eric Bischoff of the new wrestling promotion, Real American, whatever it's called, made his debut, I think, on Saturday. This was what he was working with Hulk Hogan. Apparently, Saturday night was a huge success. They actually had 12,000 people there. But this is what really caught my eye. Apparently, they are somewhat partnering with UFC with this whole thing that they're doing. Now, UFC is owned by TKO, correct?
Yep.
So does this mean that TKO has their hand in this new promotion, this new adventure that Eric Bischoff is doing, George?
It's a good possibility, but I mean, we got to remember who's running it. It's Eric Bischoff, so he's a businessman in himself. Even though as we always go back to the WCW days, it's like who killed it, but it's like he was the guy that put him back on the map when he had his chance to. So if TKO is like, hey, you want to do this with UFC, and he's like, if it gets me more eyes and more money, of course, I would not be surprised if they do, even if it. In a sense, if it's like a deal with TNA, except not a contractual, long-term agreement to work together. It might just be a Vince McMahon, Paul Heyman, ECW, WWE deal, like something like that, where it's like, hey, under the table deal, we'll look out for you for right now until we don't need you, or vice versa until you don't need us.
Yeah, it could be just a silent partner, or just an investor.
Right. Yeah. Now, something that caught my eye is apparently Matt Riddle is wanting to get involved with this. And I tell you, I think that if they really want to make big money, they need to have Matt Riddle and Goldberg go at it, because apparently this isn't like professional wrestling. It's more like amateur wrestling, where it is, from my understanding, supposedly this isn't like professional wrestling where the powers that be picks the winners.
Greek Roman.
Right. So, but what does that mean? Does this mean that the finishers are unknown? They're real finishers? Or is it like professional wrestling where the finishers are kind of predetermined, who the winner and the losers are going to be? That's what I'm curious about, because there's supposedly going to be storylines involved in this as well. So this, I'm kind of interested in how this is going to work. Initially, I myself didn't have a whole lot of interest in watching this because, sorry guys, but amateur wrestling is kind of boring for myself. Mark, what about you? Is this something that you are like really wanting to watch and curious about?
I'm curious just to see what it's all about. Do I get excited over amateur wrestling? No, not necessarily. I can admire the skill and the skill and technique involved, and the dedication to it. But overall, it's not something I'd invest 2 hours in.
Right.
What about I'd watch it just to see it.
Yeah. What about you, George?
I'm not interested. I'm not interested, man. I don't want to see anybody playing reach around, man. It's no knock on these guys, because that's a real sport. That's in the Olympics. People make money off of it somewhere, but it's just like at this point, if somebody gets really popular, TKO or AEW is like, oh, that's the next Kurt Angle. Let's go ahead and sign him and snatch him up, and put some storylines in there. No.
Yeah.
If you want it to be real, don't do that.
Yeah, now Kurt Angle was involved in this as well. I think he's a color commentary. And I tell you, if they really want to make money as well, they should put up a jabroni like myself and Mark in the ring together. Let us duke it out. Having me and Mark doing that, I assure you, they put me and Mark in that ring duking it out. It will make that match between Becky Lynch and Bella. That match will be a 5-star match compared to what we do. Speaking of, let's get into this PLE.
Hold on, I got to touch up on that because, one, I ain't got stamina for it, and 2, you're going to kick my ass.
Ah, man,
Hey,
remember, I
Mark.
got a bad spinal cord.
Hey,
Yeah.
Mark. If you wanna, if you
And
need
I'll
a good
bite
ref,
you.
I take bribes. If you need a good ref, I take bribes.
Let me check my bank account.
Oh,
I
man.
got news for you. I'll bite to win.
Now, overall, let's go start with you, Mark. Overall, what did you think about this PLE?
Underwhelming. I really did. I didn't think there was any match that was extraordinary. Logan Paul did an extraordinary job in his match, but overall, I don't think the match was that spectacular. Um, I guess the highlight for me was after Roman's match, to be honest. But
Yeah.
other than that, nothing was extraordinary in this match or this pay
Well,
per view.
I tell you, and I was telling Gerald this before, or George, Jesus, before we went on air, that anytime you have me saying that, in my opinion, the match of the night was Sheamus and Rusev, that's saying a lot. It really is.
Right. And I've heard you and Bob Cook mention that that was a damn good match, and both of you guys were dead set against this match. And to be honest, it was what I expected. It was just a brawl, basically.
Yeah.
Which I said, if it comes down to a brawl, I'm all in. If it comes down to a wrestling match, I'm not interested.
Well,
Well,
one of the things that made this match so much better than most of the matches on this PLE was Rusev and Sheamus actually did a damn good job of actually telling a story during this match. They really, really did. That's what you're right. It was a typical brawl, but unlike most hardcore matches, these guys told a story during this match. George, your thoughts on the PLE overall?
I kind of feel the same way as y'all. While that was a great match, and it was like damn good. My favorite match was probably Roman and Bronson, the first match, just because it showed you that Bronson can go in those deep waters. He may not be a main eventer, but when you need him to step up, no matter how many people don't like him, he did it. But the Rusev and Sheamus thing just shows when people work together enough. I mean, they were in that time where Vince was just booking people against each other all the time, or tag teaming those people all the time. So it's like these guys are really good friends. They know what they're going to do, regardless of how many times we wanted to see it on Netflix on Monday Night Raw. And even long term, Mark was like, "You guys don't love this? It's like two guys beating the hell out of each other. It's like they can do that because they're friends. There's newer wrestlers that probably wouldn't do that because they're too cautious. Like these guys are like, hell, we're at the tail end of our career. Let's leave it all out there every time." And the
Right.
brawl was no
And to be
different.
honest, I think they kind of pulled a little bit of Japanese style where there was some strong style in there. I don't think these guys really hold back as much as they could, with each
Right,
other. They're two
right.
big guys and they know they could take a punch.
Yeah, they're telling
Yep.
each other before the show. They're probably like, "Let's do this, man. This is what we wanted. We're on pay per view. We're not on Raw. We're not on SmackDown. We get everybody looking at us, and we're on our side of the pond." They might live in Miami,
Right.
Chicago, wherever, but like they're European, they're Russian superstars. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right.
people from their countries are looking at this like, man, that's our guys. So why not go all
And
out?
European style is stiffer than American style.
Right.
Exactly.
And before we go any further, before I forget, there will be smoking in this podcast, so it's not suitable for kids under 18 years old. Just putting that out there. I think that look, I agree. Wrestling, as far as a wrestling match, right? Technical wrestling, the Roman Reigns match against
Bronson.
Bronson Reed. Yeah, that was a great wrestling match. I think why I preferred the Rusev Sheamus match more than that match was because for myself, it was very predictable what was going to happen as far as the match went. I knew Roman Reigns was going over. Versus the Sheamus Rusev match, you really didn't know who was going to win this match. So that match was somewhat unpredictable.
Unknown.
Yeah, it really was. But let's get to it. Real quick though, Chris Gallegos, and the reason why I'm not putting his comments on the screen, you understand. He said that AW sucks. Well, sir, we're not talking about AEW, so your comment sucks. So let's get on with this PLE, starting with the first match. Go ahead, Mark.
Way to draw on our audience. All
Hey,
right, so
man, you know.
So much for the one guy watching the show.
right. I can just hear the phone hanging up right now.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Fine,
All right,
Chris. I
so
appreciate you watching the show. Now he did say, Cody, he said that he's an old school wrestler. He likes Mid South Wrestling, UWF. Look, man, I'm there with you. I'm originally from Louisiana. I love Mid South Wrestling. I don't think that there will ever be anything better than not just Mid South, but a lot of your Southern promotions. Just because they were doing reality based wrestling before reality based wrestling became quote unquote cool. So I will give you that, and I do agree with that, my friend. Oh, wait. So wait, I now I have to agree with what Chris just said. He said our podcast is better than AEW. You're right, sir. So I
There
take
you
back
go.
anything I just said.
if only we can get 8 to 10,000 followers, boy, I tell you, we'd be in there.
Right, right.
Oh man.
Although
right.
he's compared us to AEW, and I don't know if that's really a compliment or not. Let's just be honest. I guess
No,
it
I
depends
think
on the week.
They got an HBO contract. We don't.
Right.
Look, he's making negative comments about AEW. He might run Mark off.
Who knows?
If that's the case, make all the negative comments you want about AEW.
That's it. I'm out of here. I'm taking my ball and going home.
Oh man.
All right.
Oh,
So let's start out with Roman and Bronson Reed. Actually, this is a better match than I anticipated, to be honest. I like Bronson Reed. I don't care for Roman Reigns personally. I never have, whether he was in the Shield or the Fall of whatever, King or whatever. I don't care less. Never a fan of his. And when the Force fed him for 4 years, I even liked him less.
well, I'll say this about Roman Reigns. So we just seen him on Raw not long ago, less than a week ago. And I remember him walking out to his entrance when his music hits, and I'm like, holy shit, this dude looks more cut, looks more ripped than he did a few days ago. I mean, what the fuck? But then I realized this. As someone that used to work in a strip bar as a bouncer and a bartender, ugly lights go a long way. So if you have those lights turned down just the right amount, they can make anybody look incredible. I have to believe that that's exactly what happened. The lights in at Raw was turned up a little bit too much versus at the PLE because, again, Roman looked incredible, man. He really did.
Oh, that's why my wife always wants to have sex in the dark.
Mark, that's why your hand wants you to masturbate in the dark. Let's be honest.
Right. Well, you know, they were saying all the pretty girls get better looking at closing time.
Absolutely.
Man.
Oh,
I guess we should mention that besides the smoking, there is adult language and, well, I wouldn't say
there
nudity,
is.
not yet at least.
God, no. I will shut this motherfucker down if anyone even takes off their shirt in this podcast. George, what did you think about this first match? I know you said that you really liked it. Give us a little bit more than that, though.
So, I mean, the main thing is just seeing Bronson Reed in a setting with a big time, you know, where you would normally be like, oh yeah, so Roman carried him. Like that match was like, it wasn't perfect, but it was almost like right there for him, for Bronson. And I didn't get to watch much of it because I was in and out on NXT when Bronson Reed was there. But I mean, towards the end, before he went to the main roster or before they called him back, I was all in. But it's just because I like to see the big guys that can fly and do all the other stuff. You know, he's not doing like lucha libre, but he's using the top rope efficiently, much like a smaller guy. So like just seeing him be able to do more than that, fighting Roman, like actually having like good psychology of how he's stopping Roman from using his finishing moves and stuff like that. It just the match to me just made sense all the way around. It wasn't a, you know, let's just give Roman the win type of match. You know, he kept doing different stuff or he kept doing the same thing and it wasn't working. Instead, it was he kept doing his stuff trying to finish the match, and Bronson was like, no, I'm not going down like that. And that's pretty much the story of the match before Roman finally gets everything done. And of course,
Yeah,
the
now
end,
wait.
that was perfect, huh?
Now I'm saying now Wade Barrett even made this. I think it was Wade Barrett during the match. He said that normally someone like Bronson Reed goes in and he goes in directly to end the match pretty quickly because the longer the match goes, the better chance of him. I'm paraphrasing, but basically the better chance there is of him losing that match. But he was right. A lot of Bronson Reed's matches are very short, as is a lot of the matches for bigger men, right? What really impressed me about Bronson Reed was how long he was able to go in this match. Now, wrestling fans, they always tickle me because there was all kinds of shit out there saying that Cody Rhodes is in such better shape than Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns had a harder time picking up Bronson Reed to body slam him. And I'm thinking, you guys know this is a work, correct? I mean, what the fuck?
I will say though, it was nice to see Roman do a spear, and Bronson just stood his ground and caught him and dropped him.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time. That's the first time I've ever seen anybody stop Roman Reigns' spear.
Yeah,
yeah,
He's
I
it
the
looked
love
first
that
time.
part.
incredible.
And
It made Bronson Reed literally made it look like Roman Reigns ran into a brick wall and
Right.
it didn't face that brick wall. That was incredible. Again, Bronson Reed, in my opinion, was the guy that came out looking better, even though he lost the match, just because this is one of his first matches that I seen him go at least 20 to 30 minutes. I think this match was.
Here's another thing
yeah,
too, though. He had that surgery on his foot. All right. I'm pretty sure he's got some screws in his foot. All right. Yet he's still going to the top rope. Now I've had foot surgery. I've got 2 screws in my bottom of my ankle, and I can guarantee you, while nobody really notices it, you know, I can guarantee you, I wouldn't be going to the top rope and jumping off.
Yeah, but
Well,
Mark, people like you and I, we're Twinkies. We're soft. Someone
number
like this guy, go ahead.
no, I was about to say number two. Bronson Reed jumped off the top of a steel cage in War Games. I don't know how many times in his career he jumped off the top of a steel cage, but his finisher is a splash off the top rope where he jumps off of one leg. So he had the misfortune of being caught under the table or his foot getting caught in the mat when he hit the ground. So I mean,
Right.
that's one of those what they call freak incidents where that could have happened to anybody, and it did because I mean both him and Jimmy were both hurt after that match. So one broke his toe, the other one broke his foot. Just obviously
Right.
you can wrestle with a broke toe. You can't when you're that big, you can't wrestle with a broke foot.
Yeah.
Well, on a side note, even at my age, you pay me, the minimum of what, $350,000. Yeah, even with a medically repaired foot, I'd climb that top rope. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna
Man,
lie.
look, you pay me
Uh-oh.
$100,000. You pay me $100,000. I will get in the ring with Logan Paul and give him the first 3 punches for free. I mean, money is money. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Right.
I've
Right.
seen crazier stuff on the indies for $100, so I'm sure I would do it for the money they give you in the WWE.
Right.
Yeah. Which
So if you're
you bring
listening
up.
to WWE, we got some jobbers here.
Yeah, well, speaking of, and I don't mean to get away from PLE, but this is something you reminded me that I wanted to bring up. MVP, speaking of the end scenes, MVP got up and said that indie guys needs to stop putting themselves at risk doing these crazy moves for $50 in front of 50 people. Again, paraphrasing. George, as
I see
someone
that
who was
comment.
as someone who was on the indie scene, do you agree with that? Or is it one of those things that is easier for MVP to say because he's already made it? These guys are trying to make it. They're trying to have all eyes put on them on the indie scene.
No, I agree with that 100% because I mean, I've worked with promotions that take their time and put their time and effort into storylines to put their wrestlers in a good spot to make big moments happen when it's time to. You see a lot of internet videos and viral videos that happen with these wrestlers getting hurt, doing something they probably never did before, or maybe they have, or it's like a Bronson Reed case where they do something they've done before and get hurt. It's just at the risk of looking stupid because you're not getting paid enough to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it was cringy to see Jeff Hardy do stuff like him and Darby Allin to do stuff, but they're getting paid a good bit of money to do what they're doing on AEW or TNA. as opposed to seeing a guy that's only getting an average of maybe $200 and he's diving off of balconies into a person laying on like five or six tables, whatever it may be, or like the person that gets thrown off. Oh, I think it was in London or something. It's like the women are wrestling. They have a spot where the other girl goes off and hits the side of the ring. And it's like, I hope she's getting paid good for that. Like, and locally, I've seen somebody, which I'm a good friend of, but he went viral. He went to Sportscenter because he was in a mall. He jumped off the balcony. But the one thing is, he had a safety net. He had 3 guys in the ring waiting to catch him, and he made it because he could make the jump. Anybody else, I probably wouldn't have trusted with that. But at the same time, you see those videos where those guys jump off the side of the wall, off the little rafter thing on the wall, and miss and hit the floor. It's like, why are you doing that? You're not getting paid enough. You don't have insurance. So there's a time and place for stupid stunts to happen like that. But at the same time, is it worth that $60, that small envelope? Some of these guys might not be even getting paid at all. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I don't get it. But it's MVP's opinion about it is something I agree with. If you're not getting paid enough, or you're not getting covered by that, don't do it. Because there's a lot of stuff that happens where you might not make it through that. Like, that might be your last wrestling match, or it might be your last day on earth, and you're not getting anything for it to be doing that.
Right. Yep, I agree. All right, let's get to the second match, Mark.
We're going to talk about Roman getting tsunami'd on a stretcher.
Yep.
All right.
I tell you what was really impressive about that tsunami was Roman Reigns looked a little bit further than the distance that Bronson Reed normally goes. And man, he was able to successfully jump from the top rope and land directly on Roman Reigns. Now, of course, we all know that this happened because Roman Reigns is going off to finish a movie he's working on. Is reported that he will be back right before Survivor Series.
Hey, real quick, who did the Street Profits face Friday night on SmackDown?
They faced the Miz and
Carmelo
Hayes.
And Carmelo Hayes. Yes.
Okay, I mentioned this just because Carmelo Hayes did a frog splash right after Montel Ford did, and Carmelo Hayes has a pretty decent frog splash. Now, why I remember this, I don't know, but or why it just came out.
Yeah, I know why you remember it, because we're about to talk about the tag team match. But yeah, they did a move for move where he steals Montez Ford's move to break the pin or something like that. He like does the frog splash, flips over, and then Carmelo does the frog splash to him and tries to win the match. Yeah, typical.
The other guy's finisher. It was a pretty good frog splash.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yep. It was. Now Terry Zeller. Real quick, Terry Zeller, who is professional, he's a retired professional wrestler. He was in WWE. Matter of fact, he had a small storyline with Lex Luger. Going back to what MVP said, he says that if it doesn't make sense, don't do it. Doesn't fit the storyline. So, Terry, thanks for watching, man. It's always an honor when I have people like you showing up to watch this podcast. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right. So next we go to the tag team Wyatt Six versus the Street Profits. I always expect a lot more from the Wyatt Six than what I get. I'm not saying they're not entertaining. I think they are. I like Dexter Lemus. I like Gacy. Bo Dallas, obviously, I like. But for some reason, these guys just don't click right like I think they should.
Yeah, part of it, I think, is because they have the name Wyatt behind it, right? And with the loss of Bray Wyatt and the fact that, he originally came in with the Wyatt family, I think that they're kind of in the shadows of that. Now, and George and Mark, this is for you both. What was bigger than the match itself was the storyline that was happening within this match. And of course, that is with the goddamn, I can never remember these guys' names.
The Street Profits,
the Street Profits. It seems like there are some problems happening between them, but this is the thing. They've once before tried to do the storyline, but the Street Profits had problems. We thought they were going to be breaking up. George, Where do you think we go from here? Do you actually think that they're going to pull the trigger and break up the Street Profits? And if so, does that make sense considering that one of the weak spots in WWE is their tag team division? They don't have a whole lot.
So what it looks like, and this is the sidebar preface this comment. They had Bo Dallas walking up to the different tag teams and causing some issues. So, they've always toyed with the Street Profits splitting up, whether they do it as an agreement or if they break up because they they start not vibing, which is near impossible. Does it hurt the tag team division? Kind of, but again, it goes back to what I said. SmackDown has the better and more teams. And I don't want to spoil it. I was about to say I watch Raw, but it's still the same problem on Raw that they don't have enough tag teams and they have too many on SmackDown. And they all use them and they're all fighting each other. The problem is not that it's not splitting up the Street Profits. I think we just got to get more consistent. I was more happy that the teams were on the pay-per-view as opposed to having this tag team title match on SmackDown again, because that was the biggest knock. You had the big tag team match on SummerSlam, and the big tag team match on SmackDown was the SmackDown after WrestleMania. So it was like they kind of balanced it out, and then fans still weren't happy. It's like, oh, well, we put this on there, but they didn't put the other match on WrestleMania. But it's like, you want people to watch your TV shows.
Right.
You have a tag team division. That's the only knock I have with SmackDown. The tag team division should be represented on the pay-per-views. If you're going to make these guys fight each other all the time, every title shot should be on the pay-per-view at this point. Like, don't keep doing the title shot the day after the pay-per-view or the day before the pay-per-view. With Raw, you don't have enough tag teams. It almost goes back to saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't have split the tag team belts up, because then you could screw the brand split. You could have the tag teams on both shows. That way it balances out. You have all the tag teams at your disposal, and you don't have to use everybody every week. But splitting up one tag team wouldn't matter to the rest of the division if that was the case. In this case, it's kind of hard because, like, they've been going strong with the tag teams on Friday night. You split up the more popular team in the division just to do what? Because, I mean, I've seen rumblings. I've seen talks on the internet back when they first did it. The problem with the Street Profits is that Montez Ford doesn't want to leave Angelo Dawkins behind because he knows he's the more popular guy. He can read the room. Even if Dawkins is just as good of a wrestler as he is, he doesn't want to leave him behind, which that's fine. We all have friends somewhere where we're like, man, I hate to leave that place because that dude really depended on me. And that woman was like, I was the glue to keep him, what I'm saying? But in the case of wrestling, you got to take that chance. Like, he was in Elimination Chamber, and everybody loved it, regardless of his moveset or what he did. It was just, we finally got to see Montez Ford by himself. In the meantime, Angelo stepped up right before they split the team up for Montez to get his opportunity, and nobody had a problem with it because, like, oh, I didn't know he could do that. So if they do this, it hurts the tag division, but it just depends on what they do after. That's always the thing, the next step, and that's a big thing in wrestling all the time.
Yep. And Mark, before you make your comment, and obviously I want to hear from you. A couple of things. Chris Gallagher's comment again. He says, George Strong, the strong will survive. And also, George made a reference about he's already watched Raw. Just a reminder, guys, Raw was on much earlier today because of them being in Europe. So if you're waiting to 7 o'clock to watch it, it's already on Netflix. Go ahead, Mark.
To me, it doesn't matter if the Street Profits split up or not. They're a good team, but I can admire the loyalty by Montez for Dawkins. But I'd like to see Montel elevate.
Montez. Yeah, I agree. Look, I think if Montez becomes a singles wrestler, I don't think there's a glass ceiling for this guy. I think that he will become way more successful than anyone could ever believe because he is such a great talent. He's good on the mic. My God, he's good in the ring. But to be honest with you, and I'm sure this is going to be unpopular because of how people feel about Logan Paul. I would love to see a match between Logan Paul and Montez Ford. Their styles are very similar. They both do an amazing frog splash. Yeah, I think that'd be an incredible match.
I agree with that. I wouldn't want to see him do, and I hate to bring him up because he's doing so well in AEW as a heel. I wouldn't want to see Montez turn into their resident like Ricochet. I'd like to see him get some type of push towards a mid card title at least. Because I mean, I remember when the Roman Reigns, when the Tribal Chief run was going, it was like they planted seeds that him and Roman were going to have a match, and then they had a match like 2 weeks later on SmackDown. It was just the way everything went down. So it's like I'd love to see him in position where they can showcase him against somebody. And I would love to see Angela Dawkins stay relevant. Like,
right?
I know how booking is. It's like you probably got 8 spots, and you got to, Montez Ford's going to be the shiny new toy, and somebody's got to fall behind. But Angela's been by himself on. You know what I'm saying?
I believe. Yes, I would like to see him become that mid card champion, but I think Montez Ford has the talent to become a world champion. I really do.
Yeah.
I look at these guys kind of like the Midnight Rockers, where, Dawkins is the Marty Jannetty of them, and I just see him fall along the wayside. I really do, and it's sad because he's a hell of a talent. He really is,
Yeah.
Just because he doesn't have that chiseled physique, doesn't mean he can't go. He can go,
Right.
So,
Terry Zeller said Montez could exceed Booker T. I agree with that.
I see it. He's young enough. He's young enough and gifted enough.
Yeah.
Booker T might not like that statement, but I doubt Booker T's watching our podcast.
I was about to say,
Not-
boy, you sure are confident to feel like someone like Booker T be watching this podcast.
Not yet. Not yet, guys. Not yet. Just keep it in the back of your mind. He's not watching it yet. But no, I don't think he's as bitter as Bret Hart, so he probably would enjoy Montez Ford's push.
Yeah.
Maybe he likes Montel Ford,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right, so next we go to Nikki versus Becky. And this was a choppy match all around. That kick off the second rope wasn't even close, and Braid
No, she was trying to hit John Cena.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, honestly, she didn't see him either.
Yeah, he was standing right in between them. You didn't see it?
Yeah, and before Mark and I, specifically Mark and I, care report this match, let me say this. Mark and I think I can speak for Mark with this because we've talked about it. Him and I are aware that we are not professional wrestlers, that if we got into that ring, we would make that match look like a 5-star match. But nonetheless, even for non-wrestlers, this match was just so terrible that it's hard not to criticize it. I mean, there's the spot that you just mentioned with Bella coming off the second rope, attempting to hit Becky Lynch. Didn't he come close? Becky Lynch, I guess, out of habit, went to sell, but then thankfully she realized what happened and then went for the pin.
Then I was about to say she went on her. She got on her as soon as she realized what happened.
Right. And then there was that table spot, the announcer spot, where Bree was banging Becky Lynch's head from one announcer's table to the next. Becky Lynch was, Nikki, I'm sorry. Becky Lynch was beating the shit out of those tables with her hands, but it was coming, her head was so far away. And the problem with that was the camera angle. You were able to see it with the camera angle the way it was. But as Rip Rogers has said, it is so hard. Even a simple move like that is so difficult because you're trying to sell that move at the same time. You don't want to hurt the person you are wrestling against. George, you are in the business not only as a wrestler, you have performed in a ring. Well, not as just a referee, you performed in a ring as a wrestler. Talk to me about these spots that you've seen.
So when I watched back the parts, everybody would talk about, and this is what I told you in the group chat. I had to catch up on some stuff. I didn't see that match, and I watched it back, and I watched the little clips of it. It was not the greatest. It was definitely not. And yes, it is harder than it looks, but at the same time, I've had the same unfortunate opinion. Again, visually, I'm glad Nikki Bella is back because I get to see her. Problem is, I get to see her in a wrestling ring, and she was good when she left. She was decent when she left, but it's like you can see her. It's almost like she's still getting used to being back. in the ring.
Yeah, I could have sworn I saw her
Yeah.
Depends slip out.
Terry had the comment about sucked, bad timing, and missed a lot of spots. And I think
Yes.
most of that was on Nikki trying to make sure she's in the right spot and just miscommunication with Becky. I just saw the table spot. I was like, man, she is moving slow, man. You got to build up more intensity on that at least if you're not going to. Because I've seen a part where she's like switching between the tables, like she does the two spots. Then they're standing there. She's like walking her to throw her back in the ring. And then I guess Becky must have whispered, or maybe Nikki remembered. And she turns around slowly to slam her on both tables. And it's like, oh. And the spot on the rope earlier is just like, man, I don't know where that happened or what happened there. If there was a miscue on who was supposed to take that, if that was supposed to be a missed spot or
That was a
or
Samoa
if she was
Joe
supposed to-
prop.
Yeah, but let me ask you both. Let me ask you both these questions though. How much of that was Bella and Becky's fault versus production? Because shouldn't production have had that camera at a different angle where it looked more like she was having her head slammed on those tables?
To a degree.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was about to say before I'll let you go, Mark. But
That's all I had.
To the point of the cameras being or camera angles being at the wrong spot. If that was an indie show and less cameras, that's still a bad match. Like they've got to execute to the plan. If they made up the match, if the production agent made up the match, they have to do it. So I mean, it wasn't even about doing stuff that they've never done before. It's literally just, okay, here's the spots. They're talking to each other before the show or something, make sure I'm right here or whatever. It's up to them to execute the move. Like you can't make that up out of nowhere. Like it's literally like a camera angle can only save so much. It's like they said about the Logan Paul John Cena, why they had two different camera angles or why they had two different skits for the end of SmackDown last Friday, I believe it was. Because the first time they recorded, Logan Paul didn't touch John Cena, and the camera's right in John Cena's face. So they had to record it again for American TV. But everybody's like, "Oh man, he knocked the shit out of him." So in the case of this, in the match, you can't go back and do it over.
Right.
We're perfectionists. Right. We can't do everything right the first time, but you got to be a little bit closer than that because the fans will see through it. Thus, the fans booing Nikki Bella at some point during the match. They were just all in on Becky for the rest of the match after the botch or mess up. I don't want to say botch, the mess up.
Right. Yeah. Now, I'll be honest. The big surprise for me was the fact that Becky retained only because the heat that Becky Lynch has been getting because of that comment about Ozzy Osbourne, which I think that heat, one, I don't think it was necessary. She didn't say anything bad about Ozzy Osbourne, and she's a heel on top of it. But there was reports that WWE was saying that they were embarrassed, they apologized, blah, blah, blah. I really thought that Becky was going to be punished for that comment, and they were going to have her drop the title. Thankfully, they didn't.
Cash.
I agree.
One of the things that I think is missing nowadays versus 30 years ago, and I'll take Randy Savage as an example. Ricky Steamboat complained about how anal retentive Randy Savage was about laying out that match. He said he knew that match backwards and forwards, up and down, because Randy just beat it in his head. I don't think these guys show, and I'm not saying go that far as dedication, but I don't think they practice the dedication as well as they did 30 years ago to a match.
Right. Yeah. Terry says that about the camera thing. No, it's their responsibility to make it believable. So
yeah.
And to that point, I blame Becky Lynch for being the better of the two veterans and not being able to make that work a little bit better. I mean, not that she had to do everything for Nikki Bella, but it's just she did what she could, but they could have did some things different.
Right. Now, do you think Nikki Bella is going to be seen back on TV anytime soon? Do you think that they're going to hold her against, they're going to hold her accountable for this?
He's still money.
So, yeah, I was about to say, so to the point of what Mark said, it's not being the wrestling part is not as taken seriously as it used to be. Like they do train and they do their craft in the performance center or wherever they train at, but it's like, I don't think messing up on such a big stage for somebody that hasn't been there, that's where I'll defend Nikki Bella on that. She hasn't been there for a while. So it's like she has to get back in her stride. I'm sure she's in the performance center working with the ladies who are wrestling and whoever's training the women. So, I mean, I don't think she gets punished for it. Just like you said about the Ozzy comments that Becky made. I don't think they're going to. That's one of those things where they're like, hey, you can't do that to the public, like apologizing. And they're like, hey, good job. You know, people really hate you now. So, you know, it's all in, you know, back and forth with that. It's like a bad performance for somebody that's not wrestling there full time is not frowned upon, just like a heel who's one of the top women in the company. Ill-advised comment is not going to be looked at bad when people are trying to get people to watch stuff. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like they both create their own attention in separate ways.
Could open the door for Bella to be a heel, or the crowd turns on her.
Now, one of the things that I was fearful WWE was going to do was they was going to have Becky Lynch come out and apologize for that comment. And I'm glad that it happened because again, she is a heel. That would have ruined her heel run if she actually came out and apologized for making comments.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It just reminds me of and I know y'all are probably not as in tune into certain types of music as I am, but like they had the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef. Kendrick dragged the rapper J. Cole into it. J. Cole came out with an album, and after he came out the album, he apologized at a concert. It's like, what's the point of that, man? We were getting good music with everybody not liking each other, and then you're like, drop out. I'm not in it. I'm sorry, man. I don't mean anything. Like, well, there goes that.
Right. True. All right, Bart.
All right, so next we go to Rusev versus Sheamus, which was, by my all standards, I think it was a great match.
Yeah, look, and again, as I said earlier, this was a match that I was looking forward to. This was a match that I thought would be a cigarette break match. But man, you know, like I said, you know, these guys exceeded my expectations. And on top of it, they did a really good job of actually telling a story during their match. The big question is this the end of their feud, or do you think that is it going to carry on longer?
I think their performance would warrant another match, but I don't think you really could top it, so I don't see the point in it.
Well, the reason, real quick, the reason why I'm asking if there's going to be another match is because normally at the end of the feud is the baby face that gets his revenge before they move on. Sheamus, who is very much the babyface in this match, not only did he lose, but he lost by a tap out, which it was, I think it was Wade Barrett again that stated that this was the only second time Sheamus has tapped out throughout his career.
Yeah, so I mean, to that point, when this rivalry started or restarted, I should say, if we want to go all the way back, Sheamus had never beat Rusev. He did that,
right?
And that's why I think it's over because it's like they did the opposite of the heel keep winning and then the babyface win, or they alternate matches and the babyface comes out on top. In this case, Sheamus lost because Rusev's the quote unquote new guy in this, even though they've been fighting. So it's like you want to put your heel over regardless of where he goes from here. So it's like that's a big thing because they don't do that a lot with the storylines. Usually, they've been trying to make it back, like back in the day when the heel always loses. But in this case, this rivalry is going on long enough where the heel can come out on top and move on and just run from Sheamus if he ever asks for a rematch.
Now, an interview was just released by Rusev, and reportedly one of the reasons why he left AEW was because he didn't see his career going anywhere with AEW versus the WWE. He said that his goal is he would like to become a world champion. Mark, do you see WWE ever putting a world title on Rusev?
No, but I think possibly they could. I don't see it happening, but I think he's got the potential and ability to be a world champion, to be honest. But I don't see them utilizing him in that aspect. And
George,
then my next question is real quick. Where do they go from here, Sheamus and Rusev?
Right. That was my next question as well. George, answer both if you can.
So with Rusev, I think he could be a world heavyweight champion. I don't think he'll ever be WWE champion since the new belt is still relatively new, even though it's been around for a couple of years now. I could see him holding that belt. As for what's next, maybe putting him in another feud to go towards the Intercontinental or World Heavyweight title, no matter what. I mean, because you always got to have that in the background for a lot of feuds. Like, they may not be fighting for a title shot, but, it's like all of a sudden when somebody wins, it's like, oh, they've been doing pretty good lately. They're probably going to chase the belt. At the same time, I could see where if they could possibly do a AJ Styles getting the belt sometime down the line since he's chasing Dom, and he could fight Rusev for the belt, or Sheamus, start over and go after the Intercontinental title since he's never had it. But he's got to build himself back up, and we might not see him on TV for a while since he lost to Rusev.
Yeah. Yep. All right, Mark.
Well, the current Intercontinental champion is Dom, so putting Rusev or Sheamus against Dom would be an overkill, in my thought.
Well, I wouldn't say right up, but Sheamus is a babyface and Dom's just an over heel. So, whereas Rusev is a heel, they've established that. That's what I'm saying. It'd have to be a belt change or another multi-man match. But I'd rather see belts change in a singles match at this point because we're getting a lot of multi-man matches to even qualify for.
I'd rather see AJ get the belt and then face either Rusev or Sheamus, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree because look, the only way I would be okay with Dom being facing either Sheamus or Rusev would be in a three-way because look, there's not a chance. I don't think it's believable that Dom could beat Rusev or even Sheamus for that matter, unless it was a three-way where Rusev and Sheamus just beat the shit out of one another, and then Dom, being
sneaks in for a win.
Right.
Yeah, he would have to use Raquel to help him win either one.
Right.
I mean, it's a bunch of small people. It's like the Smurfs, and then you got Raquel is like the tallest person in the group. Yeah, have to use her to beat up either one of them.
Yep. All right, Mark.
All right, so next we go to Logan Paul versus John Cena. You know what? I don't know if I mentioned this pre-show or during the show, but Logan Paul really did a phenomenal job in this match. John Cena did a decent job, but he actually looked kind of winded throughout this match.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if John Cena he looked so winded because of the fact that he was going against Logan Paul. But yeah, I agree he did win it. But yeah, Logan Paul did a phenomenal job in this match. John Cena did well. But Logan Paul was the star of this match, 100% in my opinion.
Oh yeah, without a shout,
absolutely,
without a shout. So
yeah, absolutely. Right. That was a really good match. I mean, it just showed Logan Paul belongs there. Whether you think he's a good wrestler or not, he listens. He knows what he's supposed to do, and he gets out there and does it. And John Cena did look better in the SummerSlam match with Cody than this match. But, I mean, big match John delivered anyway. I mean, doing all the moves to other wrestlers and all of that just to, show people he can do wrestling moves. So,
you still got to remember, though, Logan Paul's got, less than 30 matches under his belt, really?
Yeah, this was 24.
24, yeah. Now, I tell you, where WWE could really mess up Logan Paul is try to turn him to a babyface because he originally came in as a babyface and fans they don't buy it. He just has that look where you just want to hate him. Yeah, absolutely.
Swarmy.
Yeah, and then with all his legal issues outside the ring, that just makes it even worse. The people that don't like him have more reason not to like him, and they start, mixing business with reality. And it's just like, man, you don't need to do that. But if it feeds into him not being liked and you're still watching the product, then so be it. But I definitely see him being a WWE champion.
Now, I tell you, I think that Logan Paul is 20 years too late in the business because I think that he would have fit in perfectly during the Attitude Era.
I don't know. I think he's still a phenomenal talent.
No, he is. I'm just saying I can see him being though elevated that much more during the Attitude Era.
Yeah, I could see it, but it depends, man. Because I mean, we didn't have a lot of great matches, and he's very athletic. Like he could fit in with the Shelton Benjamins and all that, but he probably get pushed a little
Yeah,
bit better since he's a better mic worker. I mean, maybe the era after that, towards that ruthless aggression era, he probably would work
right.
better because they had a little more competition for him as far as like matches go. Personality, character wise, absolutely, he would fit just
Yeah.
fine.
Yep. Yep. All right, Mark.
All right. So the next we follow up with the final match of Seth, LA Knight, CM Punk, and Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Match was
Go ahead.
severely underwhelming.
I agree and disagree. There were, yes, I thought that it would be more grandiose than what it was, but at the same time, it was still a very entertaining match. The ending, it was more compelling for me than any other part of the match with Becky Lynch entering in. Um, I think this is how they're setting up for the return of AJ Lee. Now, there's reports out there, and these reports have not been verified, but it is coming through that they are still in the midst of signing AJ Lee. They're just trying to work through a few things within her new contract. So we'll see.
I think she get a hell of a pop. Oh, speaking of that, was it me or did CM Punk get probably the biggest pop coming out?
CM Punk gets the pop just about everywhere. I still
Right.
argue with Jey Uso's pop, but at the same time, it's like that's pretty much you had all three of the guys that are getting the big pop on the show. So Roman at the beginning and Jay and CM Punk in the same. LA Knights wasn't bad at all either, though.
Right.
Like,
right.
but
And you're going to tell me that both Jey Uso and LA Knights are within 3 pounds of each other? LA Knight looks a hell of a lot better.
yeah. Somebody I was watching. It was like, who is that? I was like, oh, SmackDown. But it was like, who's that? That's Jimmy. It's like he gained weight. Oh, well, yeah, him and his brother getting more popular and being on TV a lot more. They started, with that singles career. They started blowing up like their dad. But
Yeah.
LA stays in great shape. He looks like he's ready for his title run.
Yeah.
But
Unfortunately,
He does.
Unfortunately for LA Knight, I think that they waited too long to really pull the trigger to put him in this main event role going for the title. I think that if this was 3 years ago, he would have gotten a much larger pop, in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree with that, but the problem is he came in when Vince was trying to change everybody from being that popular person he was. So it's like he didn't have a chance when he was there at first. Like he was good on NXT, and then it was like he came up to the main roster and they made him a manager, and it's just like Vince did not see it. And it's like that's one of those times where Vince was out of touch. It's like, dude, this is like one of the most popular wrestlers that y'all haven't signed. He's not AJ Styles level, but he's pretty damn close as far as outside of WWE. May not have been wrestling all over the world like him, but you have a familiar face that everybody likes show up, and everybody loves his mic work, and you limit him to being a manager because he can talk and because of his age. Whereas Triple H saw it, he knew about it, but he couldn't do anything about it. So they finally did it because it was a Daniel Bryan effect. It's like stop letting the crowd get behind somebody. You're not pushing. You're gonna keep having those moments.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Vince McMahon, there were reports a few weeks ago that the WWE lifted the ban that he was able to show up. While doing the research to fact check that or not, what I found out was that no, they did not lift the ban. He's still banned, but he is only banned until all of the legal stuff is finished. Now, after saying that, this is my question for you both. Do you guys really ever see TKO or WWE removing that ban and allowing this man back into WWE? Or do you think that, it says what it says on paper, but he'll never be able to show back up at a live WWE show?
I think they'll let him come back at a live show. I do. And as far as I know, all legal stuff's been pretty much wrapped up. Hasn't it been dismissed?
No, there's still a few
No.
other stuff happening.
No, they suspended it. they suspended it back when they stopped doing it. They never said it was over. But the whole thing with Brock Lesnar, they had to get clearance from the legal team and all of that. They looked through everything they need to look through to bring Brock Lesnar back. As far as the ban for Vince, I'll say the same thing. Brock Lesnar's back.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't
Right.
see him getting his ownership or stakes back in the company if they let the band up. But I see Vince popping back up for other shows or something like special events or just to have him pop in. I don't see him ever being a part of the running the show though. Like
No.
if they really do the research before they let him back, it's like when he took back over after he left, everybody started. They were still selling tickets, but when Triple H and Stephanie first took over, it was like a whirlwind of change. And it's just like when he came back, it was like the show ratings went back down because he was doing the same stuff. And it's not that he wasn't capable of thinking of new stuff. It's just Raw went right back into the hole it was in as far as like the TV ratings and people caring about the product. Now that, Triple H has been running it for a while, it's almost to that point for Triple H while people still like him. But if they bring Vince back, it can't be in that ownership level or creative level. But let him back on TV every so often. I'm sure they'll get heat for that regardless of what they do.
Well, here's a question. It may be a crazy question, but nonetheless, do you ever see them bringing back possibly the character, Mr. McMahon, and allowing him to be there on TV on a regular basis as a character?
Absolutely. I see it. Whether you love him or hate him, Vince made wrestling, all right, relevant. All right.
Yeah.
And I think to be honest, if his music hit, I think the crowd would pop, to be honest.
Yeah, I just worry about being too for lack of a better word, the toxic the toxic whatever around it. I can't ever say that word the right way. But you bring back the character and you gotta worry that he's gonna get his hands in the pot, get his hands in the weeds, as they say. It's it would be great and it would be more genuine to have him on there as an evil manager or owner type role, but you can't
GM
deny
role?
it. So yeah, something to that effect. But it's like once he's back though, that's the problem. It's just like you got to keep him away from all the other stuff, and I don't think that happens if they let him back as a regular.
Yeah, I don't know if Vince can separate between the two, to be honest.
Right, he's been in that position too long.
Yeah. Now, final question, starting with you, Mark. Overall, final grade of this PLE.
I'd give it a C-.
George?
I don't believe in decimals, so I'll give it a solid C, just a C. Very, it was like the Raws we do where we get like that really good Raw, and then the next show is like, man, it's like we got some really good pay-per-views in the last couple of months with WWE, and then this one just fell short.
Yeah, well, I'm having to swallow the vomit in my mouth because I am agreeing with Mark with a C-.
Now, with that being said, the only good thing that came out of this was the attendance breaking record that they beat Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that's what they said at least. WWE is known to fudge numbers. So
I don't know. Hey, I don't know with that show. They looked like they had a pretty good crowd, so you could see around that entire arena. I didn't see too many empty seats or cut off sections on that one. And I did like the set. There was a plus. I did like the set for Clash of Paris. It reminded me of the old Attitude Era set with that big Eiffel Tower light screen or whatever LED thing they had. Like it reminded me of those shows. So I wish they'd bring more of that stuff back.
Right. Terry Zella, he gives it a C as well. This ends the episode of our review of the Clash in Paris. Before we go, George Strong, it is always a pleasure to have you on. We're going to miss you being gone. I know you will miss me back. You're always welcome back. But again, we will absolutely miss having you. I don't think anyone could fill your shoes in your spot on this podcast. And I appreciate everything that you've done to help promote this podcast.
Hey man, anytime. I will be back. I'll probably be spotty here and there, but it's for the better for me, and you guys will kill it without me. I know that. But I'll pop back in. I might be your new Pat McAfee. So I don't think I'm gonna quit indefinitely. I will be back.
Paying you $13 million.
Yeah. Well, George has got that fat Roman Reigns contract with Get your bell rung. Except he doesn't get paid. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I gotta supply my own food too. I'm in catering. Like, where's the place? It's like, we don't have that, George. We don't have catering here. Oh wait, this is my house.
well, you know what? We do have catering here. The problem is all the way in Minnesota when Mark comes over, we feed him. So there's catering here.
There ain't
Yeah,
nothing left of catering when I'm there.
You're right.
Hey, look, I heard stories of guys that's been wrestling before me, and good friends of mine. They're like, when they were behind the scenes with WWE for Raws, they came to New Orleans and stuff. They're like, AJ Styles hosts the cookies. I can only imagine that's what happens if I show up to your house for PLE. Mark and I have the big tray of cookies, like holding them all from everybody. It's like, dude, I'm here too. Like,
Dude, when they ask me if I want seconds for dessert, it's like, is that a rhetorical question or what? I got to watch myself because Kevin's like, yeah, just finish it off. Dude, it's like 3/4 of a pie. Fuck, I can't do that.
But guess what happens? He finishes it off. So.
Spoiler alert, he finishes it.
Anyway, guys, this concludes the episode again of the review. We will be back on tomorrow at 7:30 to do the review of Monday Night Raw. Until then, you all have a great afternoon.